Okay, let's be honest for a second. Have you ever seen a face staring back at you from, say, a piece of toast? In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why your brain is hardwired to find faces, even when they're not really there.
I mean, it's something pretty much all of us have done, right? You're just staring up at the sky, spacing out, and then bam, a face just kind of forms out of nowhere.
And it is definitely not just clouds. You've probably seen it in the headlights of a car, right? Or the way a plug socket is configured, maybe even in the foam on top of your morning coffee.
And that's the really weird part, isn't it? Consciously, that it's just a random pattern. But some part of your brain just insists on seeing a face. So what's the deal? Let's find out.
Well, it all starts with this idea that our brains aren't just passively observing the world. No, they are active, face-detecting machines, and they are on a very, very important mission.
Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Being able to recognize a face in a split second is one of the most critical survival skills we have. It lets us instantly figure out, is this person a friend or a stranger? Are they happy or angry? Do they mean safety or are they a potential danger?
And to be really good at this, your brain doesn't wait around for a perfect, crystal clear image. No, it is constantly, and I mean constantly, scanning your environment, just looking for anything that even vaguely resembles a face. It's like a full-time job happening in the background of your mind.
This whole fascinating and, let's be real, sometimes kind of spooky experience, it actually has a scientific name.
It's called pareidolia. That's the psychological tendency to see a specific, often meaningful image, like a face, in a totally random or confusing visual pattern. Your brain is basically connecting the dots, even when there are no real dots to connect.
And what makes these examples so perfect is just how common they are. We've all seen a wall socket that looks completely shocked, or a car that looks like it's smiling at us, or maybe even a building that looks like it's scowling. These are pareidolia in action, plain and simple.
But why? Why does our brain even do this? Well, the answer comes down to a really simple evolutionary calculation. It's all about playing it safe. Just think about it from a survival point of view. What's the cost of seeing a face in a tree trunk when it isn't really there? Nothing, right? It's a totally harmless mistake. But what's the cost of missing a real face, like a predator hiding in the bushes? Well, that could be fatal. Your brain is wired to prefer 1,000 harmless false alarms over one single dangerous miss.
So what is our brain actually looking for? You might think recognizing a face is super complex, but the initial trigger? It's actually incredibly simple.
This is pretty much the entire recipe. All your brain really needs to get going is 2 dots for eyes and some kind of line underneath for a mouth. That's it. That simple little arrangement is enough to fire up the face recognition parts of your brain.
And once that basic pattern is spotted, your brain does all the heavy lifting. It just automatically fills in the gaps, projecting the idea of a face onto that object. That's why these simple shapes can suddenly feel so alive, like they have a personality.
And get this, it goes even deeper. Your own mood can actually change what you see. So if you're feeling anxious, you might be way more likely to see a threatening face in a random pattern. But if you're feeling happy, that exact same pattern might look like it's smiling right back at you.
So, beyond just survival, there's another, much deeper reason for all this. It's about our fundamental need as humans to find some kind of meaning in a chaotic world.
Let's face it, our brains are just not comfortable with randomness. We are hardwired to look for patterns and to find meaning. So when we're faced with a jumble of abstract shapes, our brain's first instinct is to try and organize it into something familiar.
And what's the most familiar, most important, and most meaningful pattern for a social creature like us? A human face, of course. It's the default pattern our brain goes back to when it's trying to make sense of all the visual noise out there.
So ultimately, this whole thing reveals a pretty profound truth about how we see the world. We aren't just passive cameras, recording reality. Our brains are actively building our reality based on millions of years of evolution. So the next time you see a face smiling back at you from your toast, remember, you're not just seeing an object, you're seeing the ghost in your own machine.
So if this little explainer made you look at the world just a bit differently, do us a favor and hit that like button. And definitely subscribe for more explainers that break down the hidden wiring of our minds.
Now we want to hear from you. Drop down to the comments and tell us, what is the weirdest, funniest, or just plain strangest face you've ever seen in a random object? Let's share some stories.
As always, thank you so much for watching and for being curious. We'll see you in the next one.